Summertime in the garden is challenging, especially here in Central Louisiana when you don't know what the weather is going to be. It's either going to be super hot like it is today, already 90 degrees, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, or raining its butt off. So June in the garden this year has been a mixture of all of it. It has been raining, it has been hot, it has been humid. We've had storms, damaging storms, and I feel like the bigger the garden gets, the more challenging it gets. And I'm here to share those challenges with you and explain why I've been gone all month. So let's get started. Priority number one in the garden during the summer is keeping yourself safe. In fact, anytime you're outside in the heat of summer, you need to stay safe, because if you aren't safe, you can't take care of anyone else or your garden. So while I go inside and take break number 5 for the morning, check out this video with pointers on how to stay safe outside in the heat of summer. The first couple weeks of June, we had severe storms, damaging storms. Days and days of rain. I'm pretty sure it rained every day for about 2 weeks. And this pathway, among other pathways, were completely blocked by plants that were blown over. The DIY tomato cages that I had right behind me were blown over. Those huge tomatoes were all in the walkway and in the garden next to it, and it just was demolished. All of my tomato plants in that bed were demolished, and there were so many tomatoes on those plants. So what I did was I harvested as many of them as I could, and I had a lot of green tomatoes, which I'll be making fried green tomatoes with shortly. But a lot of the pieces to the trellises were bent, and it was very obvious that those tomatoes got entirely too big and too tall for those DIY cages. And I'm gonna have to think of something different next year for those particular determinate tomatoes that wanted to act like indeterminate tomatoes. So it took, in fact, I'm not even quite finished yet. It's taken me at least 2 weeks to clean up and prune and clean and just pick everything up and clean the whole garden. The amount of rain made the weeds go crazy. Every walkway in this garden was covered in weeds and grass, and I had to do a lot of cleanup on that. In fact, I'm still not done with that either. My blackberries were blown around, and the arch trellises were just a big disaster area. And just so many things were blown over and demolished. And luckily, this was at the end of the spring season, so those tomatoes were coming on their last legs. So I wasn't too heartbroken that they were blown over. I had already preserved a ton of sauce and used those tomatoes. I mean, I still have tomatoes inside that I need to do something with. So now's the perfect time to start thinking about, what am I going to do for the fall season? I'm going to plant some more tomatoes. Obviously, I'm going to do some more determinate tomatoes, and we'll cover that a little later. Also, it was a good time to succession sow some things. Of course, all my squashes got decimated by the squash vine borer, so I decided to, I decided to go ahead and reseed some different squashes and pumpkins. The squash vine borer is just horrible here, and every year I swear that I'm not gonna try, but I love squash and I love pumpkin, and I feel this need to try. But I also feel this need to not have to work too hard to get what I need, what I want out of my garden. So I don't spray a lot. I don't do a whole lot of pest control. I just kind of let the garden do what it does. I'm trying to get y'all in this web without destroying it to show you the one guy, that I'm letting stay in the garden, because look at that. He caught a leaf-footed bug and is eating it, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I am terrified of spiders, but he gets to stay because he's my only pest control other than soapy water that I've been using. That guy is on this one huge sunken tomato that I have left where it is because it's still got so many tomatoes on it still. And even though it is stressed and it has disease, I'm just gonna carefully remove the diseased leaves and let it be. But the reason I'm leaving that terrifying spider on there is because it is stressed out and diseased and sick. It is covered in leaf-footed bugs. Now the leaf-footed bugs get bad. Oh yeah, you can see them there. The leaf-footed bugs get bad in the summertime because the plants get stressed and diseased. And what I do is I just come out with a spray bottle of, oh look, that dude is so scary looking. He's beautiful and terrifying at the same time, but he's taking care of these guys one at a time, so I'm okay with it. So I'll come out here in the mornings with my coffee and a little spray bottle of soap and water and a little bit of neem oil, and I'll spray the leaf-footed bugs. And if it doesn't kill them, it'll at least stun them, and then I'll come back around with a little bucket of soapy water and I'll just brush them off into the soapy water. And that is the extent of my pest control. I don't know, I just don't feel like I need to stress myself out so much to come out every other day and spray something different. Could my yields be better if I did do better? Yeah, probably. But that would kind of defeat the purpose of me doing this garden to begin with. I ain't trying to get stressed. I'm trying to decompress. I guess if I try a little harder, I might get a little something out of it. But I'm gonna keep trying, and instead of doing a ton of squashes next year, maybe I'll just do a couple and it'll be a little easier to control. I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably go nuts again too, because you know, I get super excited with my planning and just go crazy. But I did reseed several different kinds of squashes, and I reseeded my pumpkins, and we'll see. Well, I'm just gonna keep reseeding them until those squash vine borers decide that they're not gonna come around anymore. Hopefully they will, who knows. We do still have like 140 days left in our growing season, so there's plenty of time. These are my indeterminate tomatoes. I have 2 plants left. One is the Tomato Challenge 2025 Big Zack, and it's branched off into so many leaders. But as you can tell, there are no leaves on these things, barely any leaves, because the humidity has done this to all of them. And I am, look at all that disease. That's the picture of disease. And I just really have not been able to, look, there's one tomato, and this is the reason why I have left these plants here, because that's a delicious tomato. And then I was gonna just take down this whole big Zac plant until I saw I finally got a big Zac tomato. So maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't. I guess we'll see. What I am gonna do though is I'm going to prune all of these extra leaders off of this big Zac tomato because the disease is just taking over. So I'm gonna prune that big Zac tomato plant down to that 1 leader, down to this 1 leader here that's holding that big Zac up. And we're gonna feed it and baby it and see if it will do anything. So I might actually be still in the Tomato 2025 challenge, Tomato Challenge 2025. I can't ever get those names right. I might actually still be in that challenge, y'all. We'll see. He's tiny though. I don't know. My delicious tomatoes were huge, but they didn't even look like delicious tomatoes. They looked like something else. So I might have got a different kind of tomato in that packet. I don't know. But they definitely weren't all red. They were like striped. They were really pretty though. Squirrel. Another thing that was badly damaged in the storms was this DIY bean trellis that I have here. And I'll show you a clip of what it looked like when I came outside. But I fixed it, reinforced it, and added to it because I have another set of beans. These are my black-eyed, Alabama black-eyed limas. And on the other side of the garden, I planted some Christmas pole limas. And in between, I decided to go ahead and succession sow some cucumbers, and I put up some small little A-frame trellises in between. So I'll show you a little clip of me building that and setting it up. And salvaging this, it was very heavy and very hard to get back together. And I guess I'll turn it around and show you. So I had all the pieces put together with these little connectors, and the beans got so heavy that on the top up here, all the way up here on the top, it just broke. They broke off. So I went ahead and wrapped it with some twine to reinforce the top here. And I just put this here. Well, it's actually kind of stuck there right now with all of these vines. But that's what I did to reinforce it, because there was no taking it off of here and redoing it. It's so big and so heavy and beautiful. Covered in beans. Although these are still messy and I still need to come in and pull some weeds and rake and make everything flat again, these walkways were completely covered in grass and debris. And I've spent pretty much whole 2 weeks weeding in here with a hoop hoe and raking everything up. And it really needs a fresh layer of mulch, but that's probably not going to come until fall. So you can see this is only one bucket of the many buckets of trash and debris and weeds that I've taken out of these walkways. But at least I can walk through them now. So there's that. So underneath all of those determinate tomatoes that got blown over and decimated from the storms were these peppers. These are all of my big bell peppers that I had companion or interplanted with my determinate tomatoes. And I did not expect those tomato plants to get so huge. They got so huge that they shaded out these peppers, so much so that they, a couple of them you can see shot up and got super tall instead of bushy. And they got overcome by flea beetles, and they just were not in the best of circumstances. I did get a couple bell peppers out of them, but now they are out in the sun, and I don't know if that's going to be a great thing or not, but I'm probably gonna rearrange them a little bit and put them on the outside, on the east side. I think that's what it is. I'm gonna put them on the east side because when I put my other round of tomatoes in, those tomatoes will grow up and maybe shade them from the west, from the setting sun. Rises in east, sets in the west. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. I can't ever keep everything straight. I'm gonna put them on this side because that's the morning sun, and the tomatoes are gonna be on this side with the evening sun. How about that? But even though the tomatoes were blown down and just going through the worst time of their life this month, they were still cranking out tomatoes like a well-oiled machine. And for the first time, I got enough tomatoes to make several pints of, or several quarts actually, of tomato sauce. And I made soup, and I made pico, and I made salsa, and I made guacamole, and I made this bread that is amazing. It's a tomato herb bread, and I brought tomatoes to work every weekend. Every weekend I was bringing a big bowl of tomatoes to work. So the tomato harvest was not a wash, and I'm thankful for that. So maybe the fall tomato harvest will be just as good. We'll see. I'm using what I learned this spring with those determinate tomatoes, and I'm going to try a couple different kinds of determinate tomatoes, and we'll go over that when I do my seeding. I'm going to seed my tomatoes this week, I think, for the fall. So despite all of the challenges that June brought to the garden, I brought out of that, or I learned from that things go on, life goes on, and you either call it a wash and start over, or you use what you got and be thankful for it, or you learn a lesson and learn how to make it better for next time. So until next time, keep growing. So while I go inside and take break number 5 for the morning, check out this video with pointers on